Hi, Dr. Versalati here, and in this screencast we're going to go over two sounds in English that are a little bit weird. They are the voiceless interdental fricative, represented here by theta on the International Phonetic Alphabet, and the voiced version, the voiced interdental fricative, represented here by eth, the symbol in the International Phonetic Alphabet. So th and th are a little bit weird. Why? Because you have to stick your tongue between your teeth to make them. That's what interdental means, right? So we exert a lot of energy to stick our tongue between our teeth to make th and th. And that's a little bit weird because most of the time we keep our tongue in our mouths when we speak. But these sounds are in English and in other languages, but because these sounds are strange with that exertion and they're just not very common, we often hear speakers have an accent when they say words where this sound appears. For instance, th is in the word think and thank, and th are in the common words like that, those. So these sounds are in English and you can't really avoid them. But if you're unfamiliar, if your tongue's not used to exerting that and making this very weird sound, what might a speaker of English do? Well, if we take the unvoiced, the voiceless sound, and we move it to, instead of interdental, if we move it to, maybe we just keep it a little bit in our mouth and we produce the labiodental sound, becomes. Can you hear that even those resulting sounds are very similar? Because the difference is just a slight difference in the placement of the tongue. And if we take that same voiceless of think and thank and we move it to the alveolar place of articulation, which is a very common place for sounds because our tongue hits that little bump in the roof of our mouth. If we take the voiceless version and we keep our tongue in our mouth right at that ridge, we're going to get s. So instead of think, we would say sink. Now, and we could do the same thing with the voiced interdental fricative. Instead of the, we might get z. Now, if we take that's often the substitutions that are made. The voicing stays the same and the manner stays the same. We're still talking about fricatives where the air has turbulence, but it still flows through. Right? And we can, so we often substitute, when there's a weird sound, we might substitute the closest sound that's in our language that we're familiar with, like perhaps that labiodental or the alveolar. So we're keeping two of the features the same and we're changing maybe place. But sometimes when substitutions are made, instead of making for sink, it might also, a speaker might also substitute place of articulation. Instead of think, they might say tink. So it's a similar sound, but it's not requiring that tongue all the way through, and it's changing from a fricative sink to the stop tink. And we could do the same thing with the voice version. Instead of these, you might get z's, or you might get d's. It might be substituted with the stop. But again, when when learners of English substitute, it's in a pattern. Usually the features stay, two of the features stay the same, maybe two changes, but they're going to be close. They're not going to change in an unsystematic way. They won't substitute sounds in an unsystematic way. These are some of the sound substitutions we might hear when we listen to emergent bilingual speech around these two very weird sounds, and v.